Welcome again to another session in this course. We are going to be looking at the following functions: the sum ifs, and co. These functions are used to perform arithmetic operations in the context of a particular condition. Now, let's start with sum if. Look at this table here. It contains the name of our marketers, their gender, and then their court. So the first goal we want to achieve is that we want to know the name. Let's say we want to know the total amount of court that goes to the male and the total amount of court that goes to the female. So let's start with male. So we can say equals sum if. So the first argument here is range. Which range? The range where we want to check our criteria. So we want to check it in the gender column. So I will use this. So Control Shift lower key will highlight everything there, and then we put a comma. And with this comma, the next thing is the criteria. Which criteria are we using? So since we know it's male, we can just come here and say male. And then come down like this. And then the sum range. What is the sum range? The sum range means that particular range where we want the sum operation to be performed, which is here. So I will use Control Shift down arrow, and then I will come up here. Our formula is complete. So I can come to this formula bar and close it. And then I will press enter. So this is the total sum for the male. Good. When we are performing operations like this, we have to be very, very careful because you should avoid a mistake like this. If we put a space here, you can see there is a space here. This male with a space is different from a male without space because space is also a character. So Excel is saying one, two, three, four, five characters, whereas when we use male like this, it is saying one, two, three, four characters. So let us put a space in front and press enter. Now we are getting 15,000. What does this mean? It means that inside all the males here, there is a particular male that has a space in its front. So that male is the one that Excel is calculating for here. And in the previous one, it was not calculating that particular male. So which means that the answer we got earlier was not correct. So how do we go around that? There is something called the trim function. The trim function will help us to remove any form of leading or trailing space inside this particular text. So let us do that now. So let's say trim. So everything here is trimmed, and then we come down, and that is all. So this is why before you perform formula in Excel, we should always clean our data. I'm just using this as an example so that we can understand why data cleaning is very important. So now I will come here, I will write the formula again. So I will equals to sum if the range. So we are using this particular range that we are sure does not have any form of trailing or leading space. Control So Control Shift down key, we add that our criteria is male, and then our sum range is here. Control Shift down key, and then we come here. You can see our formula is complete. Then we press enter. You can see now now we are getting the right answer. So another thing I want us to see that instead of putting this male here, we can use a reference like this. Why? Because if we change something here and we want to change inside this formula, we will have to change from each element, each row of the formula. So assuming somebody just come here and add, let's say, and add s here. So because they add s here, this formula is not going to, this will not work. So we will have to change s for every of these rows, which is a problem. So how do we go around that? The way to go around that is to create a particular variable like this to represent our condition. But it must be the same thing that is here that is also inside our criteria range. So I will just do something like this equals sum if the range. This is the range. Control Shift down key, and then our criteria our criteria is this. You see, we reference is set, and then the sum range. The sum range is this. Control Shift this, and then if you come here, everything is complete, and then you press enter. So what is wrong? Something is wrong somewhere. So we press enter, is saying 0. So let's check here. So probably that this one is having a trailing space. So we correct it, and then we press enter. Now you can see we have gotten our answer. So this is very, very important. So this is how we use the sum if function in Microsoft Excel. Let's do the same thing for the female. You can see that this is in uppercase, the female here are in lowercase. So let us use it and see what we get. So equals sum if, and then our range. This is our range. So our criteria is this, and then our sum range is this, and and that is all. So this is for male and this is for female. At this point, we need to check and verify whether what you have gotten here is true. In order to do that, we check the sum of these, which should be equal to the sum of these. So let's check. So we check this, and then we press enter, and then for this range, we check two. Sum, and then come here, Control Shift down key, and then we press enter. So what we did was correct. Good. So at this point, we want to get the total amount of calls that goes to Ife, who is a male, and the total amount of calls that goes to Ife, which is a female. Why? Because if you check our data here, there is Ife here who is a male, and there's another Ife here who is a female, Ife female. So We want to see that, okay, for Ife, the one who is a female, we want to know how much goes to her, and for the one who is a male, we want to know how much goes to him. So we are going to use the sum ifs function. So let's say sum ifs, and then we want to start. So because I don't want to be dragging around, I will come to the formula bar here and enter it here, and I will continue my work here. So sum range, the sum range is the cut, control shift, and then come back to my formula bar. Criteria range one. The criteria range one is the male, I think the gender. So control shift down key, and then I press that. The criteria one, which is the gender. So criteria one is going to be the male. So that is for gender which is a male. And then criteria range two, which is the marketer's name. Marketer's name here, control shift end. And then what is the criteria? The criteria is Ife. So assuming we have more criteria, we add more and more, and Excel will do the calculations. And then press enter. So this is the amount that goes for the Ife who is a male. For Ife who is a female, how do we go about it? So we can copy the formula. You can just copy the formula here, Control C. So we copy it. So we press escape. So escape has put it here, and then we press equals to here, and then we copy the same formula here. So control, so we have copied the same formula. So we just edit the formula. So the first thing is the sum range, which is this. It is correct. It is same sum range. The second argument is the criteria range one. Criteria range one is the gender, which is the same. So what is different now is criteria one, which is female. So, and this is G1. So we make it G1, or we just remove this and we click on this. So G1. So then we check again the criteria range 2, which is the marketer's name, is the same thing, and then the criteria, which is also Ife. So we use this, we remove this, and then we use Ife. It's the same thing. When we press enter like this, we get our value. So the point is that if we add this and this together, it should be equals. If we add this and this together, it makes everything for Ife. So that is how we can combine more than one conditions together in Microsoft Excel and get an arithmetic operation to get an output. We can do the same thing with Averageif. So assuming I want to calculate the average for all the male, average for all the female, it's the same thing. So let's do average for all the male. So equals average. So for all the male, so range, the range is this. So let's come to the formula bar, and then criteria. Criteria is male, and then average range. This is the average range, and then everything is complete. And then we press enter. So we can do the same thing for the female gender. So we can go for average ifs. Assuming we want to combine male and female together, we can use average ifs. So let's do that. We can say average ifs, and then let's come to this place, the average range. So we want to use this range, Control Shift down, and then the criteria range one. The criteria range one is for gender, which is this, and the criteria is we are looking for male first. And then criteria range two. So criteria range two is the marketers, and then what is the second criteria, which is the name, that is Ife. So with that, we can get the average for a fair male, and we can do the same thing here for a fair female. So we can use the same thing for mean ifs and for max ifs. So mean ifs means that for all the conditions, what is the minimum amount or minimum value, and the same thing goes for this. So I will leave this for us to go and tackle by ourselves. I believe we have been able to achieve something in this session until we meet in the next